So once upon a time, when I first came to the United States of America from my home country, about a year and a half later, I needed to go up to New York to get some paperwork done at my embassy, the embassy to my country of origin. In that trip, it was one of the most stressful trips in my entire life, and I learned one valuable lesson in that entire trip. It was from a taxi driver that was a Pakistani guy. I remember he was having conversations with me. He told me his best friend was actually from my country, and he understood that when I, interacted with people, they wouldn't understand where I was coming from, and all I could do was just educate them. So far, Gotham Knights has been a similar experience, other than the fact that it's not, something as similar as that. It's not that serious. It's a video game. But I've enjoyed the process of trying to just talk about things that I know, things that I've just learned, and it's been very interesting so far to see how far the game has come. And even lately, we've started to see even more leaks surface. People are getting their hands on the physical copies of this game, whether it's from the collector's edition, maybe they know somebody working at some store, they know some backyard deals or some distribution center. They're getting early copies of this stuff, and the leaks have already gone out. And I have to say, this is the very first time that I've said it to myself, that a leak, even though I'm not going to talk about it in this video, just going to talk about what the leak has done. It's actually made me somewhat happy, and it's also, in a sense, proven something that I wasn't sure was really there in the first place. So one thing about Gotham Knights is the game has got people talking. A lot of what we've been seeing so far is actually much more, proof to me that there is more interest in this game than we actually did think. After the whole conversation about the 30 FPS lock, I don't know where everybody showed up from, but it really did, to my surprise anyways, clue me into the fact that there are a lot of people watching out for exactly what this game is going to be. I think at the end of the day, you as the gamer will have to filter all the noise. And so when I was watching these leaks, and I know you shouldn't watch leaks, but leaks don't really affect me, guys. I won't tell you the leaks. I promise you will not hear or see anything about these leaks from me on the channel. And please, let's be respectful to the other people in the comments. Don't talk about them. DM me on Twitter if you want to talk about leaks. I'm game all day. We'll chat about that. We don't want anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled, to go and find that kind of stuff here. Y'all are the ones that pay the bills. So I don't want you guys to, feel like I'm cheating you or robbing you of something. But I think all of the conversation right now is getting, in a sense, tweaked a little bit. In fact, as I started to watch and see some of the different story plot points unfold, I said to myself, I cannot believe as to how this entire time we've been thinking one thing, and it seemed like the misdirection has been the strongest point overall for this game and so many others. Many other games, yes, they'll try their best to keep a lot of things secret, but for some reason this game cannot stay, the lid on this game cannot stay shut every time something pops up, every time something comes up. But at the end of the day, I think what's going to happen is this game is going to really have to prove itself. And in my opinion, from some of what we've had so far, I think this game is really going to do that. It's going to be one of those games that, yes, it will be underrated. Yes, it will be, bashed and beaten and dragged, but I think it's going to do very well. In fact, if you look at some of the comments so far that this game is having to deal with, it's so interesting. I don't want to post any of them on here, but I'm going to read them to you guys so that you guys can kind of see, how this is really, it's brewing. It's weird, right? Somebody said, just hope this game flops so hard as possible. They deserve it. Now, I can understand that you're upset with the developers not talking about the 30 FPS issue on time. I understand my position is also not a popular position because for some people, this is unforgivable. They're like, nah, man, they should have told us this and not wait for it to leak before they confirmed it. That's definitely the truth. I can understand that. My case is I want to look at the positive side. Well, thank the Lord that we found this out so that now nobody is confused. Everyone is on the same page, right? And so now everybody has now been able to act accordingly. This is in fact, somebody said something in one of their video titles. I've been seeing a lot of Gotham Knights video titles. I can't remember specifically. I was just scrolling. And they said this leak or whatever it was the biggest blessing so far that Gotham Knights had. I thought The biggest blessing Gotham Knights had was the delays. The fans, the game being delayed gave us over 2 years to examine and finally pick through every single detail of this game. But now it's the so-called 30 FPS leak, and we got it a week early. Even though the terms and the conditions within which we got it has violated the trust of some people, but it is what it is. Another thing too that we're seeing is the conversation surrounding, folks saying, I think, this entire conversation that is, in a sense, somewhat positive towards the game is damage control. In fact, there was another comment here, and I'm going to be reading them to you guys. Maybe you might be watching the video. Maybe you might hear it. It's probably going to be fun for you. Someone said, 30 FPS is not okay, but I'm going to play it on PC if I didn't have evidence that these YouTubers are getting paid by Warner Brothers. I think this is it now. So somebody was basically pointing to me saying that 30 FPS is not a big deal, which I never said, by the way, and saying that, oh my gosh, but because I said I'm playing on PC, it should be fine. Never said that, but I think somehow in their minds, they just kind of just mix that bowl up, and then that's all that it translated to. Let me tell y'all something about YouTube. The best pay that you can ever get from YouTube is from people actually clicking your videos and watching your videos. Not even with ads. If they have YouTube, the YouTube subscription model, or if they have ad block or whatever, them just clicking your videos is the best possible thing that can happen to you as a creator. So you as a content creator, the people that you are actually loyal to are your fans, your community, your audience. If anybody compromises that to support a publisher of a video game, you got to know that that is the most short-sighted thing ever. Why? That game is going to one day die and be irrelevant. Maybe it may not die, but it may become less relevant than it is. And who are you going to be left with? You're going to be left with your subscribers, your core community, the people that set you up. The algorithm follows their behavior. So they are the ones who actually pay you. So you guys here on the Video Game Fight School channel, it is you guys I'm here to make videos for. I couldn't care at all about any publisher out there. I'm sorry. They cannot fiscally, compensate for all of the potential, support that you guys are going to give the channel. And this is not even saying, maybe, join the channel or anything else. This is just simply not doing anything other than just watching the video. So when you kind of consider all of this, to me, it's worthwhile to make the content for our community here. And it's worthwhile to dig deep and find the things and see if we can educate ourselves on understanding all of the pertaining, and surrounding issues surrounding Gotham Knights. And I think more than anything else, this one lesson that I learned all the way back so many years ago. In fact, if I go back, it's actually been about 12 years ago. Dang, man. That's when this cab driver taught me this one lesson. Just one lesson, and I took it. Like I hugged it, got back in a plane, and went back to my Podunk, USA town that I was chilling at. My NYC trip, that was basically the highlight. Sorry, I was just kind of overwhelmed. Grew up in a big city in Africa, by the way. One of the biggest, most populous cities in West Africa. But I stayed in a Podunk town so long, all the noise and all the trains and everything in New York was just harrowing for me. But I just kept remembering what that gentleman told me. And I think right now in this community, that's basically what it's going to go. In fact, another thing that's also made me happy is the fact that a lot more people are now talking about the game development process more than anything else. Yes, it's starting to resonate in our communities. People are talking about right now the potential that we have for console gaming. Is the so-called next-gen gaming some kind of a bottleneck? In fact, I don't know if you've heard. I don't want to talk about the specific details to the leaks, but there is talk that Gotham Knights, even at 30 FPS, has some frame rate drops. Ladies and gentlemen, did I not say this to you a long time ago? I mean, look at this. Look at Jason shooting this guy with a whole bunch of red puffy smoke. It drops frames. We knew this. I mean, we don't need to kid ourselves. We need to be very honest with ourselves. This is it right here on the play. And this looks like a PlayStation version playing at 30 FPS. This was known in May, and we kind of memed it too. I don't know if you guys remember. It was a meme. People were memeing this stuff on Twitter. So know that even at the 30 FPS, the game is still going to have its issues. So come again willing, that this is what you're going to be dealing with. Again, you still got like 5-6 days from when you watch this video to make up your mind if this is what you want to deal with, or if you want to wait till all of this stuff is ironed out. No one is going to bash you based on your decision. And so when you kind of think about it, it brings a lot of the conversations that I've always wanted to happen to light. I've always wanted these conversations to happen for gamers. And to be very honest, the Gotham Knights community is the best community to have the conversation in. I still do. I make, content for my other channel. We cover the Division. A lot of the folk on that, channel, they're like grown men. They're like high earners. They build these PCs and they don't care about, the things that they bother about are not the same things that the demographics here bothers about. So if I'm telling them, guys, console prices are too expensive, they look at me like, yo, what are you talking about? It's just $70. Whereas in this side of the aisle, everyone's like, yo, it's not just $70, $7 on next gen. So the conversations are more relevant in this space. So it's making me happy. I'm literally just floating. I'm enjoying the fact that we're having the critical conversations. And overall, I think it's going to yield a very huge benefit. It's going to make more people dive into knowing and understanding the process of game development. And now whenever it is you're challenging a creative process for a video game, you can do so from a place where you actually understand. It's actually better because this way, developers are now looking and saying, man, we can't necessarily just talk to our communities now in a simple form. If you remember that 30 FPS announcement, it had this one statement that kind of, I don't know, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know why. It's not like I hold Flor Marti, respond. I think that's a corporate statement anyways. But it said, that statement said it's not as, how was it put? I don't know if it says it's not as complicated or it's more complicated than it seems. Let me see if I can go back and find the exact words. It says, due to the type of features we have in our game, like providing a fully co-op experience in a highly open world, it's not as straightforward as lowering the resolution and getting a higher FPS. For this reason, our game does not have a 30 FPS quality toggle option. So it's not as straightforward. So we want to know what is the narrow and what is the whiny about it. That's what we want to know. Like, what makes it not straightforward? And I'm curious about that. And maybe I can understand that the developers probably cannot share all of this stuff. So what do? In the age of information, I go digging. There's no need for me to be waiting around for somebody to explain something to me when we have information banks all over the place. Google, YouTube, the internet, the Reddit pages, so many things I didn't even know. So many things are not even out there. I remember I found them on Reddit. I remember one huge question, with the conversation surrounding Arkham Knight. People are like, Arkham Knight looks much better than this game and so on and so forth. And, in my opinion, I was like, man, what's going on? And I found a developer who said, oh, yeah, Arkham Knight was actually made in Unreal Engine 3. I didn't know that. I thought it was made in Unreal Engine 4. And the, developer that was basically answering that question was actually on Quora. It wasn't even on Reddit. He said at the time that Arkham Knight was coming out or being developed, Unreal Engine 4 was like in its alpha to beta stage. So nobody was using it to make games at that time. And when you actually look back at the way Unreal Engine was, a lot of things with that engine were actually external. Your lighting engine, everything was outside of the engine. Unreal Engine 4, almost everything that you're using for your work is somewhat inside of the engine. That's like heavy things like lighting and all of that stuff. And those parameters actually make the engine run kind of weird. This is why they were celebrating Unreal Engine 5 with all of the different, new advancements that they had, because Unreal Engine 5 was trying to change the paradigm to make for a much more powerful engine that kind of did the job of baking a lot of those heavy processes into, the way the engine works. It's actually some really neat technology stuff. And so I'm just excited as to where all of this is going. And I think what's happening right now is, personally, I think I'm going to enjoy Gotham Knights. At this stage, I think I am. At first, I was thinking maybe I'll just probably play the game for, what it is. But I think with all of this, it's going to increase my enjoyment nonetheless. This is pretty much my video. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully, we can talk in the comment section. And hopefully, I'll have another video for you guys on the subject matter. Thanks so much for listening. Peace out.